Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
girl, I'm good. I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored in the Lord.
Oh, amen. You look amazing today. Amazing.
Yeah. When I dress up a little bit, I love hearts.
I love it. It's perfect.
And just got my
Well,
hair did.
it looks great. Listen, I love it. Look, pat it out.
Pat, 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 girl, honey. This style allows me to work on my edges, honey.
Yeah, listen, but they
Yeah,
slay right now. You got them
got to
slayed.
massage the Jamaican black castor oil in it.
I feel like we all got one of them bottles of the Jamaican black castor oil just right
Because
there.
the edge struggle be real, honey.
It's
Yes.
mhm.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mimi Cowens, co-founder and co-host of the Black MS Narrative Project and podcast.
I'm Victoria Campbell, co-founder and co-host of the Black MS Narrative Project and podcast.
Ooh, 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 we sound official, like, girl. We sound
Yeah, we
official.
do. Yeah, we do. If this is your first time here at the Black MS Narrative Project, our desire is to create a community and a conversation around Black African American people that are impacted by multiple sclerosis, not just those of us living with, thriving with MS, but those in our orbit, our siblings, our children, our parents, our doctors, and so on and so forth. We also believe that artistic expression is
Yes,
so powerful, and in your story, a form of artistic expression, there's so much healing, so much
absolutely.
healing.
Absolutely. And if you are a creative like Victoria and myself, we welcome you even more to share your story because the two of us have definitely learned about the healing properties of creative expression, theater, song, dance, movement, and how those artistic expressions help to heal our bodies as well. So, welcome to the
Yes,
show. We
all
sound
types, all
official.
types. It
We
is.
sound official, girl. Ah,
This is great. Oh my goodness. Well, why don't we go ahead and start with our human being check-in?
okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah, girl, go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm in massage therapy school.
Mhm.
And right now we're taking a class on somatics.
Oh,
Girl, oh my gosh. Like, and how important it is to understand just how people can heal through your touch and how
mhm.
people can have emotional responses and emotional releases as a result of your touch.
Okay, so that's what somatics is
Well, not necessarily through your touch, but just an emotional release. It's an emotional
okay.
release that comes through. I know as a spa owner and someone who is a yoni steam practitioner and someone who directs yoni steams, I am a level one Reiki master as well, and so I have actually had people have somatic responses underneath some energy work that I do before they
Mhm.
have their yoni steam. So, I was familiar with somatics before I took this class, but it is a whole deep psychology um, around touch and what can come as a result. It's not just massaging out the knots in someone's back. There's a little bit more to it as well. And I
Yeah.
love my program. It's so comprehensive and I learned so much. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm really enjoying somatics. I'm enjoying the fact that I have now progressed from the way that our program is. We have head, face, and neck, lower extremity, upper extremity, torso. They're all broken up into like 6 week sessions. So
Uh-huh.
you get to hyper focus on those parts of the body 6 weeks at a time. And you do deep tissue and Swedish and, professional development and possibly some meridian theory around those specific areas of the body. So right now I'm on head, face, and neck. And me being an esthetician, it just kind of like really works in concert with what I do already with the
Yeah.
head, with the face and neck, and and this is called the décolleté. That's
Oh
what we
yes,
call.
the
That's what we
décolleté.
call it here in aesthetic world, the décolleté. But yeah, head, face, neck, deep tissue, Swedish. I am really enjoying this particular
Wow.
term.
You know,
Yeah.
and I love that because me just like feeling like I want a massage right now. I just love hearing just the love and desire of the full deep understanding of it all beyond just the, okay, where do I touch and how do I touch? Like,
More to it. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's
So
amazing.
how about you, my love? What's going on with you?
Oh my goodness. It's been I've been needing to really pull on my meditation to center myself when it comes to being mentally overwhelmed, or making sure I don't get mentally overwhelmed. I've been really engaged with work. We are, shameless plug, we are about to release this new product for it's called the Infinity Black Card. Look, I'm wearing a shirt. Look, my
Come
shameless
on, Infinity Black Card. Come on, shameless plug. Come on.
though. So like, imagine, well, let me say this. We are the largest Black owned business database globally.
Wow.
And so when you go to the infinityblackcard.com, you're able to search for across the nation Black businesses. And if you're not on there, Mimi, you can add yourself. You can join for free. Now think as a person who has the Infinity Black Card, you think Groupon.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a subscription for a year and you get access to all these Black owned businesses nationwide, no matter if it's in your hometown or you're traveling. And then you get these discounts that they are offering. So I'm really excited about it because it's the first of its kind. You know, I think a lot of different people have tried to create a list of Black owned businesses, and they may do it in an area. And it's never really been as extensive as ours, but we have hundreds of thousands of just businesses and connections. And I'm really excited about this dropping. We're going to do a soft launch in November, hard
That's
launch in
awesome.
January, but it's, as you can imagine, on the back end, it takes a lot. It takes
That and this and like right, the fact that you're talking about this totally aligns with our guest for today
yeah.
because she is an entrepreneur. She owns a business, and you make me wish that I had on a different t-shirt right now because like I have a t-shirt that says like future Black billionaire. And so, y'all, I want y'all to envision right now that I have on this black t-shirt that it says in white, future Black billionaire, because I should have worn it, okay? To talk
Insert.
about the power of manifesting,
Yeah.
because that's so important. And like what you were talking about earlier in your human being check-in, how you need to get more grounded and more centering. That's also part of somatics as well.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so important to do that as an entrepreneur because my God, from day to day, like that thing can be up, that thing can be down. You might have some money, and then you'd be like, Jesus, 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 Jesus. And I mean, and then the next thing you know, honey, the phone call. Somebody call and say, I need to book an appointment, or hey, I'd like to talk to you about the services that you provide. It really is a faith walk, right? It is definitely a faith walk. And so I'm going to let you introduce our guest today because this is going to be a rich conversation today, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you already did some of the legwork. We have this beautiful young woman that's going to be joining us today. She is an entrepreneur. She has created possibility for herself as an entrepreneur because her diagnosis and her symptoms have prevented her from being able to work that 9 to 5. She's also a single mother of 3 beautiful children, and she has quite a story and some encouragement to give us today. So please let's welcome to the stage Miss Sylvia Johnson. Hey girl, hey.
Hello, everyone.
Applause. We need the sound effect. Woo! I know, we'll do jazz hands. Welcome to the show, Sylvia.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the beautiful introduction. I want to apologize for being late because I'm on a different time zone. I
Girl,
know
don't
you said
nobody
it's
know.
okay.
Well,
It's
CP
okay.
time.
Don't nobody know. For all they know, honey, you here now. It don't
It's
matter.
okay. But anywho, I want to thank you guys for just welcome me in the room, for all the love and the encouragement. It's very much appreciated. The space that you guys have that you guys have created and continue creating for us as women, or as a whole, for people that are living with things that people don't know about, or have lack
Mhm.
knowledge about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yes, I just
And
wanted to.
and we are also in another community together with this beautiful
Yes.
young lady, because community and connection is so important when you have this disease. We're in a
Mhm.
group called um, uh, MS, Women of Color,
Women of color.
Women of Color
Mhm.
with MS. And so
Yes.
it is so important because we've come together on Zoom calls and just had, I mean, you look up and it's 3 hours later and you're like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
we have found connection and community
Yes.
with these beautiful women that look like us, who have the same level of struggle, if you
Yeah.
will, or varying levels of struggle within the confines of this disease. And so, thank you so much for just taking this opportunity and being brave. You have quite a
Mhm.
story, and
Yes.
so we are looking forward to digging deep into it. Why don't you tell us, who is Sylvia Johnson? Where do you hail from? And
So,
tell us your journey toward diagnosis. When were you diagnosed, and at what age, and what has that journey been like?
So, I was diagnosed 3 years ago, March the 16th to be exact. What age was that? Oh my gosh. I am 29 now. So 3 years ago,
26.
26.
26. Yes,
Yeah.
26.
Mm.
That's crazy to remember. 3 years ago, I was 26. Wow. Yes.
Mhm.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, but as you guys know, it's different type of diagnosis within multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with remitted relapsing MS.
Mhm.
It's hard to explain per se, because when you have a relapse, I look at it as like you having another flare up or different type of symptoms are going on. So when I first got diagnosed, I recall myself. It was March. If you live in a windy city, it's still snow outside. It's cold. I was putting my twin girls on the bus, and as I'm putting them on the bus, I proceeded to turn around and get off, and my whole left side just went completely numb. And in my mind, I'm thinking to
Mhm.
myself, okay, you can't panic, because if you panic, the school bus driver gonna panic, and the school bus panic, the kids gonna panic. So you cannot panic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I proceeded to walk down the steps, and I'm like, I'm still numb. I remember calling out for my kid's father at the time for help, and a neighbor that was nearby, and their dad went in the house, came outside, went in the house, and then got his coat. But when he came back, the numbness had disappeared. But in my
Mm.
mind, I'm still confused. Like, okay, why did my left
What
side of
just
my body just
happened?
go right? What just happened
Right.
to me? So as the days going on, because mind you, it's a weekend. As the days going on, the weekend is going past. I'm still having this numbness, and as I'm going to the restroom, I'm just having this uncontrollable tremors. It's I describe it as like having a seizure minus the foam. It's shaking uncontrollably as I'm
Um,
having to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Mhm.
And I know some of us um as a I don't how do I put it? I feel like some of us as myself are hard headed, even though we're looking at, hey, we're going through all this stuff, and this stuff, we not, hey, I need to go to the hospital. We just like, well,
mm,
God, we immediately call on God, like, hey, I need you to get me through this. I don't know what's going on, but we try to stay away from the hospital. We try
that's
to call
real.
on God
That's
first.
real. Mhm.
So I'm like, as I'm going through the weekend, I remember I had an event, and I'm just like, okay, take a deep breath. Maybe it's just you. Just calm down. The symptom disappeared, and I never forget a Saturday. It was the Saturday night, and I say, I come in the house to get dressed for the event, and as I'm coming in the house, I collapsed on the floor. I instantly had the urge to go to the bathroom, and my body started shaking uncontrollably, and the left side went numb again, and I collapsed on my front room floor. The same place I'm in now, I collapsed on my front room floor. and I urinated on myself, and I'm just like, okay. Then I went to the hospital. Then it took all of that from that Friday to Saturday to Sunday for me to say, hey, I'm going to the hospital.
Because you're thinking, okay, it'll pass. Maybe it's a
Right,
one-time thing. And then
right,
Chicago, look, it could have been, you could have been like, well, maybe I'm just cold on one side.
exactly,
Maybe it's just the snow and the ice. Maybe I need to thaw out on this side. I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna wait it out. We good on that. Wait it out.
Find any
We just
exactly.
reason.
wait. And
Yeah,
then
that it
every
couldn't
time
be.
it dissipated and went away, you're like, oh, okay. Well, it ain't gonna come back again. Again, we talk about denial a lot on this show.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
because so many times, and we've said it before, denial can be very dangerous
Yes,
because it makes us push away the obvious. And so you're on the floor, you're having this moment, your body is doing what it's doing uncontrollably,
correct.
from shaking to urinating. You're losing control of what you know that you're normally in control of,
Right.
and
Hmm.
then you call 911 because you like something's wrong. So you
Did you
get to the
call
hospital,
911
and
or
so
did
then
you
what
take
happens?
you took yourself to the hospital?
Oh, you
I
drove yourself?
yes, I drove myself to the hospital,
Oh
and
wow.
which that was pretty dangerous. But I did drive myself to the hospital at the time, and even then, I was still having tremors, and I had to
Mm,
pull over to the side. And once they diagnosed me, looking, I remember at that time, because I'm gonna backtrack. I remember my mother was in the hospital and she had a stroke and a heart attack, and she
mm,
had to get leg to, I want to say leg to leg lumbar surgery. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but I remember. And then she had to go to the hospital. And I used to be a homemaker. So when you were saying that now, I was like, maybe I'm overworking myself. Maybe because I remember I had 3 clients working Monday through Friday, weekends, picking up the kids from school, dropping them off. Maybe I'm just
mm.
overworking myself. Maybe I just need to take a break. I'm that's in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. So as I'm in that laying in the hospital bed, I never forget my mom was in the hospital. She was in the hospital for maybe almost about 5 months. And I remember them nurses and doctors coming in the room was like, you have MS. I'm just like, okay. And I called my mother and my mother was on the phone. They say, I have MS. And they was like, I say, it's gonna be okay. I remember I said, I already know I'm gonna be okay. And they was like, you're so strong, you're so strong. But I never forget when those doctors left out my room, I cried like a baby because they're coming in my room saying you have MS, but giving me lack of no information at all. No information, just telling me I have something. So I don't have no information. I don't know what MS is. What is this?
That is horrible bedside manner. I cannot.
Uh,
Yes,
Okay, so then what then at this point? So I have MS. You told me this thing. You
right,
save face in the moment. I'm gonna
right,
be all right.
right.
And so now you're in tears. And so what can you do at this point? Like did they
and your
follow up?
soul support is also in the hospital.
Yeah, right.
Correct. And they I remember one of the nurses, she just printed out some information and gave it to me, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just sitting here like I have MS, but I never forget it was this young lady that told me MS is not me and I am not MS. And I stuck by that. I still stick by that.
I say that all the time.
Yep, I still stick by that. I just me personally, I just called on God. I just called on God. It's it's hard to describe in words, but I had
Yeah.
no choice but to call on God. I remember even find the neurologist. Once I even got out, I still had lack of knowledge because
Mhm.
how can you tell somebody how to support you? How can you even ask, hey, what is this when you don't even know? So that's when I started typing in on Facebook MS, Instagram MS. What can I find? And I
You
found the
sought out
woman.
community. Mhm.
Correct. Correct.
Mm.
And I found the Woman of Color MS support group, and I've been there ever since. Ever
and
since.
and that's a place of knowledge too, right? Because
Yes.
there are women in there who came to their diagnosis in varying ways. They may have had a neurologist at the onset, and now are walking through this journey and still don't know what's going on. You came
Exactly.
through it in a crisis mode, in an emergency way, and was handed a piece of
Mhm.
paper. And I'm gonna just take a minute real quick, and we're gonna go back for 1 second, because Black women, we got to take this cape off our back.
Mm.
We have
Yes.
got to take
That's
this cape off our back that says we are Black girl magic. I say that's a myth all day long. We're not magical. We're human, but we Black girl magic. Look at me. Here I am. I hear me roar. I am Superwoman. You got this big old S on your back, and you drove yourself to the hospital instead of calling 911.
Yes.
We have got,
Yes.
listen, ladies. Listen, and I know a lot of times with us, we're like, I don't want to pay the ambulance bill. I don't want to do this. I don't have the money. Listen, there isn't a place on God's green earth that if you call 911, they are emergency response professionals for a reason. They're going to come pick you up, worry about the money later. Worry
Yeah.
about how you're going to take care of it later, because we are so used to having to do things by ourselves. We are
Yes.
so used to having to figure things out by ourselves. We are so used to have to roughing it
Mm.
Yes.
alone, especially single mothers.
Really.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we just say, I ain't got no choice. I gotta do this.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go do this. I'm gonna call on the Lord. He gonna strengthen me, and he does. But
But
we have got to start really
yeah.
looking at the big picture of things sometimes, instead of always feeling like we got to figure it out by ourselves, and we don't. We always think we do, but we don't. And
Mm-hmm.
so many of us do that. I don't care if it's driving ourselves to the hospital. I don't care if it's okay, well, let me go figure this thing out over here by myself. He didn't pay the child support like he was supposed to. Let me go figure it out. We are so oftentimes in this mode where we have had to figure it out on our own, and we just do it. We just do it. But we have got to remember, we are not magical. We are not super women.
Yeah,
We
and
take
and
that
you know
cape
what,
off.
Mimi, and I love that you are shining a light on this because it's not even just in our community thing, right? It's across the board, and it has
Yes.
been this way for generations and generations. And so, but because we recognize this, and once you know something, like you no longer can claim ignorance, right? Like
Right.
you know that this is a place, and if we know that it's a default because it's all we've seen or all we know, so we
Mm,
have to be intentional.
that's
And
right.
I praise God that you were safe, Sylvia,
Hmm.
that you were able to get through that. But just as encouragement for later and for
Yes.
everyone else, like let's not allow ourselves to put ourselves and other people in danger because we are doing it by ourselves.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. You are
Hmm.
absolutely right.
So you said that after that, you went and you sought out a neurologist. Did the hospital help you find that person, or you were like, you know what, they haven't given me any information. Let me try to figure this thing out. Let me advocate for myself.
Yes and no. I remember my insurance company, I called them, and they helped me find somebody.
Oh,
But
that's
even with the neurologist, I have it.
Mm.
I have to change neurologists. Like even right now, I have to change neurologists because I remember, um, I was not on Ocrevus. I can't remember the self injections because I used to self inject myself. I used to
mm-hmm.
self inject myself. I believe I had to do it once a day, and it was terrible. But I remember when I was in the process of trying to get medication for the MS, my neurologist lied and said she put the medication in. And my insurance company, which is I have a care coordinator that will assist me making appointments and stuff like that when I
Yeah.
call the insurance company. And I said, hey, my neurologist said they denied me for the medication. And she was like, well, no, if they denied you, we will see in the system that they denied you and you would get the denial letter. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, this is not my first rodeo. I have, 3 kids. Like, they didn't got denial letters. I would see this.
Mm.
Yeah.
So so we called the care coordinator and the neurologist was on the phone. She was like, you didn't, it's no denial of it. So in that moment, my neurologist basically lied and said she
Mm.
put a prescription in that she never did put in, and you never did put that prescription in.
Wow.
Mm.
So once she did, I used to get self injections. That was not helping. Then they switched me to Ocrevus. Ocrevus is basically an infusion to keep
Mhm.
the MS at bay, so you won't have as much flare
Mhm.
ups. I get it every 6 months through IIV. I'm usually there for about 5 to 6 hours,
Mhm.
but yes,
Yeah, I
but
used to be on Ocrevus. So you're saying that how long did it take for you to switch from the injection to the Ocrevus?
took a while. It took a while. It took
Too
a while.
long.
It took too long. In the midst of having to do all of that, I was having flare ups. I had to go back to the hospital. They
Oh
had
God.
to keep me on
Mm.
steroids. I remember tripping over my own feet and falling. Even trying to. Right now, I have a homemaker, but it took me almost a year to get a homemaker. So in the midst of all of this, I had um people, I describe it as a puzzle piece. I had some people trying to help me advocate, but most of it was me advocating for myself, from people
Mhm.
telling me, hey, you have to do this, you need to do this, you need to do, and it was getting frustrating and overwhelming because I'm just like, I don't know. Well, let me call this person back. Hey, did this person contact you? It's been
So you went, did you go, how many months did you go unmedicated while you waited for them to approve the Ocrevus?
I want to say at least 6 months, at least 6 to 7 months.
Oh God. And so, and again, like, and we talked about this too on the show about how important it is to have a DMT to help keep the disease from progressing. And when you go untreated, it can make things worse. It can cause like
Mm.
irreversible damage. So I'm so glad. 6 months is a long time to not have no medicine,
And
but
I
I'm
just want
glad
to
you
add
got
on
on
to that,
Ocrevus.
Amy,
Huh?
because you're right. It can be getting worse, but what we're not remembering or what we're forgetting too is that even if we don't see the manifestation of these symptoms
Mhm.
outwardly, there are still silent attacks and relapses that are taking place
Right.
that one little thing could set it off and you're like, whoa, where did this
Right,
whole thing come from? But that's
right.
because it's been silently building up for so long and we just didn't know. So you're right, like the DMT is so important, and those
Right.
6 months was too long.
That's too long.
Yes, yes, and
I'm getting
that's yes.
angry working for you. Like,
Yes, and that's when I found the MS navigation community, and I started contacting them. Hey, this is what I need help with. Hey, this is what I need assistance with. And they started helping me along the way. They started helping me, and
awesome.
it that took a weight off of my shoulders. Even
Woo.
now, I can't remember uh I can't remember in this moment. But the MS navigation, they helped me as far as dealing with the Social Security benefits. They gave me an air conditioner. As you know, summertime and wintertime can trigger. They gave me an ice vest. When I say last year, I went through the worst menopause I ever went through in my life. And I just made 29 years old. And
Mm.
I never forget, I was sitting down and I say, aren't you guys hot? Y'all not hot? My locks is hot. Everything's just
You're
hot.
like
I feel
having a
on
whole hot
fire.
flash.
I,
Yeah.
I could have went
Wow.
around just, and I had the air conditioner in the window, but the only way for me to be cool was to sleep on my floor.
My God.
I had to lay on the
And
floor, and
Chicago summers and Chicago, there's no middle ground. Chicago
no,
summers are no joke, and Chicago winters are no joke. So at
right.
this time, are you still working at this point? At what point did you decide that you no longer could work a 9 to 5?
The day I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, that day, I literally, the next day, I never forget. Well, not the next day per se, because of course I was in the hospital. But once they let me out the hospital, I used to do home health care. I gave them my papers and say,
I
that
can't
was
do it.
it. I
Yeah.
can't do it no more. I did try because I had a client that loved me, and his daughter was willing to pay me on the side. So she was paying me on the side. So I did try, but it wasn't through the company. But even that was too much for me. So after
Mhm.
that, I just completely stopped. And I remember making a TikTok video in my bathroom because as I was scrolling through what I wanted to send you, and that showed up, and I was like, I've been trying to make this video for a long time. And God, like, this is your time to start up your business. And that's when I was just like, hey, well, I'm here now because,
Okay.
you know.
So before you talk about your business, were you able to get Social Security um, disability benefits?
Drum roll, please. So the first time I did get denied.
Okay.
Mhm.
But this morning I just got some good news and I got approved.
Yay! Here we need another sound effect.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Sylvia! Oh my
Thank
gosh!
you. Yes,
Oh,
and that is help to the MS Society. That is one of their assets. That is one of their things that they assist. Yes, they.
I
you
need to
have
reach out to
mentioned
them because
now.
I was denied too, but they need to. I need help.
Yeah, y'all need to talk offline so you help her get
Yes,
approved.
yes.
So you just mentioned two very valuable resources.
Hmm.
MS Navigation. Can you tell us about that? And then the MS Society. Again, this is a young lady, y'all, who was not given very much information at the hospital. She was given a piece of paper that said, "You got MS," and sent home. And she did the work at home on her
Hmm.
computer, on her phone, because she refused to say, you know what, I am not MS. MS is not me. I'm going to go advocate for myself and find the answers. So tell us about MS Navigation and the MS Society.
So MS Navigation and the MS Society is literally the same thing, but when you look it up on Google, I think it's called the MS Navigation Society. I just kind of chop it up. But the MS Navigation Society is basically a place for people that is being diagnosed with MS. They help you with rent, utilities, far as getting things like if you need how do I explain it? Depends or
Okay.
pads.
So
Um,
supplies and
yes, any assistance, they are that resources. Like dealing with social security benefits, they help you with that. Right now I'm in the process of trying to get a dog for MS. So they help you with all sorts of things. Like I said, the ice vest, the air conditioner. Somebody mentioned on the Women of Color MS support group laptop, um, Pace, Lyft rides, Uber. That's how I got in touch with the MS Society through the Women of Color MS support group. If it
wow.
wasn't for them mentioning saying that, hey, you have an MS Society where you stay at and looking it up on Google, I would not known about this. So
Wow.
that when I say that community has been the main resource, the main light to me, hey, having to advocate for myself, even far as hey, when people say, "Are you on this medication?" I'm like, "Hey, you may be able to try this." So they have been my main
Awesome.
resource for that.
That's awesome. So they've been a resource for you, and then in turn, you've been able to be a resource for them as well within
Correct.
the women
Yes.
of color. Yeah,
Yes.
it's an
Yes.
amazing group. I did not. It was not a thing when I was diagnosed in 2008, and I didn't even know it had started to become a thing until 2 years ago. And so I'm so grateful that they were there for you. I am in the
Yes.
group now.
Yes.
Hey, oh. But
Yes. Yes.
that's amazing. Hold on, I want to definitely share that with everyone. So, woman of color, is it with MS?
It's
I'm trying to remember.
let's get it
Is it
right. Let's put the right thing up there.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you
It's
also part of the Black MS Experience group?
I believe I am because I get stuff via email.
it's
I
called
believe I am.
Okay.
Women of Color with Multiple Sclerosis.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the Facebook group. and they are now up to almost 4,500 members. I
Wow.
No,
know.
that's encouraging, but it's also not at the same time, if I can just be honest, right? Just the fact that there's so many of us in this space, and praise God that we're finding each other, right? That we're able
Yes.
to have this space and community to talk and grow and glean and share and all those things. But I keep thinking, like, what is different? Is it that we're just diagnosing it more, that we see it more, or is something, do you know what I mean?
Yes. And when I say
Hmm.
it feels different because you really don't know who out there has MS. I remember I was in a grocery store and I ran into one of my brother's ex girlfriends, and I heard somebody talking, and they said MS, and when we hear that, we turn around like, MS, who
Yeah.
else got MS? Like, wait
Right.
a minute, and it was a black man, African
Mm.
American man. I say, because I don't find too many men that deals with multiple sclerosis. And I say,
We
yeah,
outnumber we
I
outnumber
deal
them,
with,
but they're there.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, I deal with what you deal with. Even when you were saying back in 2008, um, you were diagnosed and it wasn't as popular. I was in grammar school in 2009. And I remember having these migraines, feeling like a truck was running over me. And even when I was thinking about it, like now and then, like, was that a sign of MS?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me too.
Yes,
And
yes,
we'll never know. We'll never
Yeah.
right,
know. You know,
right.
there's so many studies that say that if you live in certain climates, you're more
Mm-hmm.
susceptible. But
Mhm.
I do believe the new research that's coming out that is indicating that more African Americans are being diagnosed or have the disease than what was previously thought. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think more and more of us are beginning to pay attention to certain symptoms in our body and are seeking out these doctors. And then the MRIs are
Confirming.
uh, proving the research right. So you filed for disability
Yes,
shortly after your diagnosis. Again, this was 3 years ago. It took 3 years to finally get approved. Okay,
yes.
but you did, and in the meantime you were getting resources you had put into your previous job. You couldn't work, and so for those 3 years it has been difficult, I'm
Yes.
sure,
Mm.
because that is when you birthed your business. And anyone who knows that a new budding business,
Mm.
those first few years are quite difficult. So tell us about Lovely Pink Arrangements.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, before I speak on lovely pink arrangements, I want to double back a little bit.
Mhm.
Within those 3 years of being diagnosed, when I first stopped working, I never forget. I got behind on my rent.
Mhm.
Um, my car got repossessed,
Mhm.
and I was sitting here like, God, what I'm gonna do? By the grace of God, it was because it was in the midst of COVID. It was a resource out there. I remember applying for the rental assistance. I was applying for every assistance out there. I never forget my kid's father at the time. He was like, Sylvia, your car's getting repossessed, and I was like, okay, because I know that I can't do nothing about it.
Nothing to do. Yeah.
Exactly. At that moment, it was what it was. I couldn't do nothing about it, and I would never forget the day before Christmas. Literally, the day before Christmas, I got approved for rental assistance, and
Oh,
they helped, and I got caught back up on my rent, and I was just like, okay, God, you've been doing it 3 years. You've been helping me, and within those 3 years, I say you just been like,
a
hey,
sustainer, a
yes,
sustainer and a
yes.
keeper. Yes,
Yes, yes. So
yes.
within those 3 years, it has been some challenges, but I am here now. So,
Mm.
in regards to lovely pink arrangements,
Mhm.
it is a jack of all trades. I do T-shirts. I make baskets for all special occasions. Um, I'm trying to remember what else do I do because it's slipping my mind. I cannot remember it. Oh my God. See, this
It'll
is
come to
MS
you.
kicks
It'll
in.
come to you the more you talking about it. Because I mean, let's just keep it real. And I'm so glad
Yes.
that you filled in some blanks for us around what was happening over those three years. One thing that we talk about on this show is keeping it real,
Mhm.
being transparent, and talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but look at where God is elevating you to now.
Yes.
Yes.
Look at where He is taking you. Uh, He has planted that seed inside of you. And
Mm-hmm.
now, through His grace, you're able to push forward and create that which
Yes.
has been probably dormant inside of you, even when you were working your 9 to 5, and you were
Yes.
just like, I ain't got the time to do
Yeah,
it. Well, now
so
I have
that's
the
what I was
time.
going to ask. Like, was
Yes.
now you have this business, was this something that you've always kind of did? And do you also find that doing this, doing your what you do for what lovely pink arrangements, is
Yes.
that healing for you? Is that
It
helpful
is.
for you?
It very much is. When I get into that creative stage of mine, it's peaceful. It's peaceful. Oh my God, it's so peaceful. I love to cook as well. It's peaceful. It's so peaceful. Even like I said, to double back a little bit. I remember being when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Instantly, I said, "Well, it's time to eat healthy now." I remember doing some searching, and I befriended the Raw Vegan Food Group. I believe I can't remember if that's the name, but they were talking about juicing and stuff like that, and the importance of being healthy. And I remember in the midst of that, I had my one of my friends popped up on my Facebook, and I was like, I was just looking, and she's a holistic, and she deals with natural herbs, natural teas. So in the midst of dealing with all of this, I said, okay, God, where is this taking me? So I became a digital content creator. So I was like, okay, now I'm starting to share that I'm dealing with MS. Now I'm starting to work out. Now I'm juicing. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay. So in the midst of all of that, I remember last year I lost over 30 pounds because they were telling me like, hey, it's a lot of stuff that we eat that triggers our MS, far as dairy, meat or
Sugar.
sugar,
Mhm.
right? A lot of starches, starch turns into sugar. So I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, God, this is where we're headed. So I seen the unhealthy side of me, and I also seen the healthy side, and even being able to share that on Facebook, because like you said, keeping it real, I'm very much transparent. Um, I came on Facebook and say, hey, I never say I deal with MS. I always say they diagnose, I never claim it.
Okay. Yeah.
so it's like, people like you don't look like you have MS because I don't MS is not me and I am not MS. What does a person with MS look like? If you can tell me that, then I would tell
This
you,
is the doctor's
Right.
diagnosis.
Right.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I am treating myself
Exactly.
in accordance to the doctor's diagnosis. Yeah,
Mm.
Exactly.
there are definitely
Exactly.
ways to speak life into who you are as
Exactly.
someone living with this disease. And so, it's funny when you said I can't even think about all the things I do, because as an entrepreneur, you're the CEO,
All of
the
it.
Yes.
the CEO, CFO, owner, content creator, marketing specialist,
Yes.
all the things. You're all the things, but you don't
Exactly.
just do one thing, right?
Very
But
Exactly.
you
true.
create
Exactly.
t-shirts and other things
Exactly.
that express your creative vision. Do any
Yes.
of your products reflect MS?
Um, it has not yet. I made my sister moved into her first apartment, I want to say last November, and I did kind of like a healing basket, but a welcome like home type basket.
Oh.
I did a journal, what the letter N, because her name is Nigel, my little sister. She know I love her, but anyway. So I made her a basket with candles, Bath and Body Works stuff, um, a journal, and amongst of other things, so she could be able to, heal in the process. when people say, hey, how much are your baskets or how much is this? I'm more of that person. If I don't know how to explain it, like I go about you. If you tell me what you like, then I can get an idea and say, hey, okay, this is what this person like. But I can like more expressive. Like it's hard for me to try to explain it. I know I keep saying like,
Mhm.
but I can't find the word really.
That's okay.
All right. But
That's all
so
right.
so you have your business, you're finding that there's healing in it for you as well as the people that you're gifting it to.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you have a homemaker, and do you have any other support then with you being this entrepreneur? You have your 3 kids.
Um. So far as family support, I'm going to be honest because hey, this is what we're here for. I struggle with lack of family support. I do. I have a mother. I do, but it's no support there as far as emotional support
Mhm.
and as far as the MS support. I have a spiritual godmama. She I can call her anytime, any day. My neighbors, I can talk to them anytime, any day. I have a father figure, which is his name is Charles Harris, which is my sensei slash father figure, personal trainer. I can talk to him anytime, any day. But and my kids teachers. But far as family support, no, that's where I
They are
struggle
your
at.
family.
Correct, they
Right.
are my family, but far as
Mhm.
biological family support,
Mhm.
that's where I struggle at.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, God has created that community for
Mhm.
me, amongst other things. So I'm in the midst of becoming Block Club president. I did August the 17th. I did my first back to school block club party for the youth. And people like, dang, you do a lot of stuff for somebody. Yes, because I don't let this stop me. I am me. And she is her. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit? Like, people
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry. Why? Why are you so sorry for me? I don't feel sorry for myself. Like,
Mhm.
no.
And I love that you're so active and that you are finding ways to give back,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And because I think a lot of people feel like, and this is a clearly is a misconception that if you have disability, you can't work, you can't do other things. That's
Mhm.
not true.
Correct, correct. That is not true. Um, I always tell people I have good days and I have bad days. I have days where my nerves are irritating me because literally nerves. When somebody can get on my nerves
Yeah.
and that triggers me. I have a moment where I feel like I'm overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I have moments when I feel like a robot, and be like you just want to shut down. Um, right before I came on, I had a moment because like, hi, are we? I'm like, wait a minute, wait, oh my gosh, so we have those. We have good days and we have bad days. I have moments where I'll be like, legs, I need you to walk. I need you to move.
Talk to 'em, yeah.
I I have moments like I went to the laundromat and I was in the hospital for about a week, almost 2 weeks. And I was sitting there and I said, okay, God, I just said, okay, God, they like, oh, I had the worst hospital visit recently, but they was like, we can't find anything and it's none of this and none of that. But I'm like, I feel like something is wrong, even though they can't find nothing. And I thought about it. Okay, it's a warfare. It's a spiritual thing. They
Mhm.
can't find nothing, but I know that it's something there. So I just said, okay, God,
Mhm.
So I went to the laundromat and started washing, and I knew I overextended myself. Sometimes we can overextend ourselves or do too much, and
Yes.
now our body is just like, nope. You thought you were gonna get up the next day and eat or wash dishes. You thought you were gonna take out that trash.
Mhm.
No, you have to sit down. And I literally had to sit down for 2 days because it's like, well, you thought you were gonna go outside and sit on that porch, or you thought you were gonna go walk to the corner and come back. No,
Oh wait, child, honey, you can. Oh, oh gosh, I say this all the time. Like when we talk about good days and bad days, people don't understand that when somebody just who is out there without MS says, I'm having a bad day. Their bad day is not what, when we say we having a bad day,
Yeah.
we either struggling to walk, pushing through a numb leg, or some legs that feel like they weigh 2 tons and smiling through it. Because we don't want to burden nobody else. We don't want to tell nobody what we're dealing with. And so, you know, you're pushing through, you're having, you know, you're very cognizant of the fact that your support comes from a family, an extended family, a God-given family. Okay. And I know that that can be hard to deal with sometimes, but you do have support. And so what would you say to people who, because I mean, you're such a walking, living, breathing example of what to do when you don't have information. You go out and you actively seek information. What are some tips that you have for people who are newly diagnosed and just feel like they are in a whirlwind? What would you say would be kind of like your first, second, and third to people?
It's funny when you say I am I'm going to answer your question, by the way, but something stuck out to me. You said I'm a walking, living and breathing. It's so funny because when I share my testimony with people, I tell people my story, I say I'm a walking, living, breathing testimony. It's so funny you said that.
Wow. No coincidences.
No
Yes.
coincidences.
What would I share with people to tell them when, for somebody that's newly diagnosed? Google is your best friend. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Those are your best friends. Look up. I don't care if you got to put MS, MS symptoms. What should I do if I feel like I have MS? I don't care if you have to call the nurse's station on the back of your insurance card. I don't care if you have to ask a teacher. My girl's teacher, she used to be a nurse before she became an actual teacher, and her neighbor deals with MS. I found people that say, my uncle deals with MS. So you will find that people literally, I went to the hospital because I had to report an incident, and he said it was an officer, and he was so genuine. He said, my girlfriend deals with MS, and if you have any other information that you can give her, because she does the self injections, please let me know. You can come up here personally to tell me. Like I said, Google, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't care if you have to make a 311 call, 9 emergencies. Hey, I need some information for this. Where can I go to get this information? It's so many resources around us that we lack. These support groups are our best friend. If you can get in any type of support group, that is your first thing. Any support group, that's where it started for me. Being in a support group, that was the best thing that could have happened to me.
That's awesome. So the power, and it's free, guys.
You're right.
Yes.
Right.
These are free. Like everybody and their mama got a social media account. And for those who say, I don't do social media, you are missing out on an opportunity for you to get help, for you to get information. They used to, way back in the day, probably because I'm the oldest one on this, and I hate to even admit this, but they used to call it the information superhighway. This is like before they started using the term the internet. Okay. This is the information superhighway because
it's for real.
You have everything at your fingertips. This right here, this little thing right here is a computer. It's little, but it's a computer. Okay.
Exactly.
So get out there and research. Okay. Any support group is community, right?
Absolutely.
So then what else would you advise them to do?
Go to the nearest hospital. Go to the nearest hospital. Don't do like I did. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Call 911.
And that's if you're having a crisis, right? When something medically has gone wrong, that you are like, something ain't right up in here. I need to go to the hospital. Don't drive yourself.
Yes. Also befriend your neighbors. Oh my God. I cannot express this enough. How much is important to have good neighbors.
Yeah.
I have a neighbor called Sam 2.0. My neighbor, Sam 2.0, Mr. Cates, Damien, my neighbor upstairs, Kiki, we have the same birthday. I
Oh,
have their numbers and I
Oh,
text them,
wow.
hey, if you don't see me, I'm in the hospital. If I'm not there, this is where I'm at. Hey, can you keep a lookout for my house? This is where I'm at. Even my son said, I can text them, let them know if you're not hearing from me, I am in the hospital. Talk to your neighbors,
oh,
get
that's so
that support.
good.
Because even when they see my kids, they would say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been at? I say, I'm in the house. Even when I was battling depression, I still tried to push myself to make videos and stuff like that. And I shared that with my neighbors. Hey, if I'm not outside, this is what's going on with me. And when I fought through that, it's so funny because 3 years dealing with multiple being 3 years ago, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, then battling depression, and among other things. That was a tornado. That was a
Yeah.
tornado. It felt like a hailstorm
My
came
God.
over me. So when I say it's important to talk with your neighbors, say, hey, it's just not a good thing. It's just not a good thing. So establish somebody that you can just reach out to. I don't care if it's a stranger. Those strangers, when I say strangers have become the best part of my life, I have found a
Mm.
sister in the Women of Color MS support group, literally, and she is in North Carolina. I never met this lady in person yet, and we've been friends for 2 years. 2 years, and I'll never forget the first day she called me, and I was at Family Dollar, and I was like, "Dang, they just messed up my cash app, and I want them to do this, and I want them to do that." She instantly sent me $20. Never asked for it.
Wow.
And since that day, we have been friends for 2 years. And I call and say, hey, sis, what's going on? Hey, and both of us deal with the same thing. So that right there,
Us North Carolinians can be kind of
oh,
special.
so honestly, you know
Listen, I'm gonna claim it too. I was born in North
Okay,
Carolina.
right. That's right. You got North Carolina ties. And I'm so glad to hear you're saying this because, again, as Black people, we got to get out of this. I don't want nobody in my business mess.
Right.
We got that real bad.
right.
Why we like that?
Mhm.
Why we like, I don't want nobody in our business? Excuse me. If COVID didn't teach us anything, we were all sheltering together. We
Ooh.
sheltered together. We were all
Yes,
going through that together. Even the celebrities was walking around here scruffy.
yes.
I'll never forget. And I told Vic this one time. I said, I'll never forget, honey. John Legend responded to one of my Facebook when I was talking to him on Facebook because he got up in his bathrobe on live and was playing the piano and singing. And I was like, oh my God, John Legend. Oh my God, we love you so much. Da, 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 da. And he like thumbed up or wrote something back. And I said, yo, John Legend responded to me. Look, we was all in that thing together. So John Legend, if you're listening, John, hey babe, hey. I was so happy that John Legend responded to me, but it
Yes,
showed us the power of we all going
Mhm.
through this thing together. Ain't
Mhm.
nobody did. There's no respect to a person. Okay. We all struggle. We all need help. God created us for connection with one another. None of us was created to be on an island by ourselves. So I love that you reach out and that you make
Yeah.
yourself vulnerable and say, listen, hey, you're my neighbor. Let's be neighbors. Let's be
Yeah.
yes,
neighborly to one another.
yes.
Neighborly. And
Mm,
then not just, hey, let's be friends, let's be neighbors, but
that's right.
I might need you.
I might need
And
you.
right. And so, and
Yes,
I think that goes along with just not, that goes right along with you in the beginning had the S on your back, but you
yes,
snatched it off. So
yes.
that you
Thank
could
you.
really, yeah, you are,
Yes,
wow, such an inspiration. We are so grateful that you trusted us and this platform to share your story. I'm sure there's so much more we could just talk about and
yes.
continue on, but we are grateful for you today, truly.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you.
Yes, we are. And you guys, please if you're liking the content, if you're liking what you're hearing, if any of what you've heard today is resonating with you, please like, share, subscribe. We have a presence on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Send our one of our shows to someone that you know who has MS, or knows someone in their family who has MS, or if you know someone who has a story that you're like, you need to call these girls, Victoria and Mimi, you need to get on their show and talk about it, because people need to hear what you have to say. And baby, Miss Sylvia, we needed to hear what you had to say
Oh,
on today.
yes.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. It was such a pleasure and such an honor. It's just I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
you want to be on our show, all you have to do, send us an email, just like Sylvia did, to the
Mhm.
Black MS Narrative Project at gmail.com. We're trying to make this a movement. We need your support to do that. If you want to donate to us, send us a Cash App. Our Cash App is $ the BMSMP. It takes money to do what we're doing. We want to try to have a conference in 2025. And it ain't no try. We're going to have a conference. We're going to
We're
speak and
going
we're
to
going
have
to
a
claim it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we're going to have some events in 2025 that you can be a part
Yes.
of. And we just want to thank you again, Sylvia,
Yeah.
for being a part of our show. And like we always say at the end of all of our shows, let's